November 23rd, 2014, from Sports Authority Field at Mile High in Denver, Colorado, was the Miami Dolphins at the Denver Broncos. The Broncos won the toss and they elected to defer, so Miami would take over first in this game. They would start off on their own 20, and on 2nd and 5 from the 25, Ryan Tannehill hit Sims for a 16-yard pass that made it a first down on the Miami 41. Lamar Miller then ran for 22 yards to make it a first down on the Denver 37. Tannehill then ran for 8 yards, and then he threw a 20-yard pass to Landry, and it was now 1st and goal on the 9 for the Dolphins. Thomas then ran for 6 yards, and on 2nd and goal from the 3, they gave it back to Thomas, and he ran it in for the touchdown to put the first points on the scoreboard, as it was now Miami 7, Denver nothing. So now the Broncos got the ball for the first time in the game with 11 and a half minutes on the clock, a little less than that. They had it on their own 27. They picked up some first downs. They were actually picked up their second first down on a 3rd and 6 from the 42 when Manning hit C.J. Anderson for a 6-yard pass to make it a first down on the 48. And then on 2nd and 3 from the 45, Manning hit Demaryius Thomas for a 6-yard pass to make it a first down on the 39. But then their drive would stall on the 20, and out would come McManus to attempt a 38-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and it was now 7-3 with the Dolphins in the lead by 4. So now Miami would take over, and they would end up going 3 and out on their second possession of the game, and Denver would end up doing the same, as they would also go 3 and out, and so they punted the ball back to Miami, who now took over with less than 2 minutes on the clock in the first quarter with the ball at midfield on the Denver 47. They were faced with a 3rd and 3 from the 40. Tannehill then hit Gibson for a 6-yard pass and made a first down on the Denver 34. And then Lamar Miller ran for 9 yards, and the first quarter came to a close. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was Miami 7, Denver 3. So to open up the second quarter, the Dolphins had the ball on the Broncos 25. It was 2nd and 1. Lamar Miller then ran for 11 yards to pick up the first down to make it a first down on the 14. Tannehill then hit Mike Wallace for a 10-yard pass, and it was now 1st and goal on the 4. They picked up 3 yards on a pass from Tannehill to Sims. On first down, it was 2nd and goal from the 1, and Tannehill ran it in for the touchdown, kind of like a bootleg. He ran it around and just barely got into the corner as he took the right angle and got into the edge of the end zone right there at the pylon. And so now it was 14-3, Miami over Denver. So now the Broncos would take over with about 13 minutes left before halftime. They had the ball on their own 23. They were then faced with a 3rd and 4 from the 29, and Peyton Manning hit Emmanuel Sanders for an 18-yard reception that made it a first down on the Denver 47. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 49, C.J. Anderson ran for 25 yards to make it a first down on the Miami 26. Then on 3rd and 5 from the 21, Peyton Manning hit Emmanuel Sanders for a 5-yard pass, and there was a horse collar tackle against the defense, and so now it was 1st and goal on the 7. They then did a little back and forth as they ended up picking up 2 yards on first down, but on second down, they got a touchdown, but it was nullified because of offensive pass interference, and that would make it 2nd and goal from the 15. They picked up 10 yards on a pass from Peyton to Demaryius Thomas, and so now it was 3rd and goal from the 5. Peyton Manning drops back to pass, and he finds his favorite target, Demaryius Thomas, for a 5-yard touchdown pass, as the Broncos now cut the Dolphins' lead to 4 with the score Miami 14, Denver 10. So now the Dolphins would take over with 7 minutes left before halftime. They had the ball on their own 13. They were faced with a 3rd and 3 from the 20. Tannehill then hit Mike Wallace for an 11-yard pass to make it a first down on the 37. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 40, Thomas ran for 10 yards and was a first down on the 50. Tannehill then hit Hartline for an 18-yard pass to make it a first down on the 32. Then on 2nd and 9 from the 31, Tannehill went to Matthews for an 18-yard pass. There was a fumble, but it was recovered by the Dolphins as Miller jumped on it. And so now it would end up being the 2-minute warning, and it would be first down on the 10-yard line, 1st and goal for the Dolphins. Tannehill drops back to pass, and he finds Mike Wallace for the touchdown, as it was now 21-10, Dolphins over the Broncos. So now Denver would take over with less than 2 minutes left in the first half. They had the ball on their own 20. Peyton Manning dropped back and hit Demaryius Thomas for a 21-yard reception. They made it a first down on the 41. Peyton Manning then dropped back and hit Emmanuel Sanders for an 11-yard pass. They made a first down at the Miami 48. They ended up faced with a 3rd and 20 from the 42. Peyton Manning then hit Sanders for a 35-yard reception. And after They declined the penalty against the defense for an illegal contact. It was now first down on the Miami 23. Peyton Manning then went to Demaryius Thomas for a 4-yard pass, and then Manning went to Wes Welker for a 5-yard pass. Denver took their last time out, and it was now 3rd and 1 on the Miami 14 with just 16 seconds left in the first half. Peyton Manning drops back to pass, and he hit Demaryius Thomas for a 14-yard touchdown to cut the Dolphins' lead once again to just 4 points, with the score now Miami 21, Denver 17. Ryan Tannehill would end up taking a knee, and this game would go to halftime. So after the first half, going into the locker rooms at halftime, the score was Miami 21, Denver 17. The Broncos would get the ball first in the second half. They'd start off on their own 20. They brought it to midfield and into Miami territory, into field goal range, into the red zone, all the way down to the 7-yard line. It was 3rd and 1 from the 7. Peyton Manning drops back, and he was sacked by Jenkins for an 8-yard loss. And so out would come McManus to attempt a 33-yard field goal, but it hit the upright, and it was no good. So the score remained Miami 21, Denver 17. The Dolphins now took over with 8 minutes left in the third quarter. They had the ball on their own 23. They were faced with a 3rd and 8 from the 25, and Ryan Tannehill hit Sims for a 9-yard pass that made it a first down on the Miami 34. Then on 2nd and 12 from the 32, Ryan Tannehill hit Gibson for a 13-yard pass that made it a first down on the Miami 45. They were then faced with a 3rd and 22 from the 33, but they only picked up 3 yards, and out would come the punting unit. But on the punt, they fumbled, and it ended up being recovered by the Dolphins. So the Broncos fumbled the punt return, and the Dolphins would now take over on the Denver 12-yard line with less than 3.5 minutes left in the third. They were then faced with a 3rd and 10 from the 12, and Tannehill was intercepted by Von Miller, but then it was a fumble, and it was recovered by Pouncey. So now the Dolphins would keep the ball, and it was now first down, 1st and goal on the 7-yard line. A 2-yard run by Miller would set up 2nd and goal on the 5. Tannehill dropped back, and he hit Landry for a 5-yard touchdown pass, and it was now 28-17 as the Dolphins extended their lead to 11. So now the Broncos would take over with just over 2 minutes left in the third quarter. They had the ball on their own 40. They would get into Miami territory, and they were faced with a 4th and 2 from the Miami 41. They elected to go for it. They handed it off to C.J. Anderson, and he ran for 20 yards in the first down on the final play of the third quarter. So after 3 quarters of play, the score was Miami 28, Denver 17. So to open up the fourth quarter, the Broncos had the ball on the Miami 21. It was first down. An incomplete pass would bring up 2nd down. Manning dropped back to pass, and he found Demaryius Thomas for a 16-yard reception that made it 1st and goal on the Miami 5. So now Peyton Manning then dropped back, and he hit Demaryius Thomas for the touchdown, a 5-yard touchdown pass that brought this game to within 3 when they went for the 2-point conversion. Manning hit Sanders, and it was now a 3-point game with the score Miami 28, Denver 25. So now the Dolphins would take over with the 3-point lead with 14 minutes left in the fourth, but after 5 plays, they would end up punting the ball to the Broncos. So now the Broncos would take over with a little over 11 minutes left on the game clock. They had the ball on their own 30. They were faced with a 3rd and 1 from the 39, and a neutral zone infraction would give them the first down on the 45. So 1st and 10 from the Denver 45. Peyton Manning drops back to pass. He had Emmanuel Sanders for a 19-yard reception that brought the ball into Miami territory as they had a first down now on the Miami 36. They were then faced with a 2nd and 19 from the 45, and Peyton Manning hit Emmanuel Sanders for a 17-yard pass that made it 3rd and 2 from the 28, and Manning went back to Sanders, this time for 12 yards. There ended up being a pass interference, but they declined as they had already picked up the first down in the red zone on the Miami 16. Peyton Manning then dumped it off to C.J. Anderson, who picked up 9 yards, and the Dolphins called their first timeout. It was now 2nd and 1 on the 7. Anderson picked up 3 yards. There was a penalty against the offense, and so now they would be pushed back to the 19 as it was first down. And now on first down, Peyton Manning would throw an incomplete pass, but it was a penalty against the defense, and now it would be first down, but on the 14. Manning then went to Demaryius Thomas, picked up 4, and now it was 2nd and 6 from the 10, and they gave it to C.J. Anderson. He ran it right up the gut, 10 yards for the touchdown, and the Broncos took the lead for the first time in this game with the score now Denver 32, Miami 28. So now the Dolphins would take over with 5 minutes left in the fourth. They had the ball on their own 20. They were faced with a 2nd and 4, and it was on the 26. Tannehill then went to Landry, picked up 9 yards in the first down. So now it's 1st and 10 from the Miami 35 for the Dolphins. Tannehill drops back to pass, and he was intercepted by Ward, as Ward gets the ball back for the Broncos. So now the Broncos take back over on the Miami 8-yard line, right there poised to score, starting off their possession with a 1st and goal, with just 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Peyton Manning threw a short pass to Welker for 6 yards. The Dolphins took their second timeout, and it was now 2nd and goal on the 2. Peyton Manning then went back to Welker, and it was a 2-yard touchdown pass as the Broncos now extended their lead to 11. We had just seen a swing of 22 points in this game over the last few minutes of play. But the Broncos now were up with the score Denver 30. Well, they extended their lead, and it was Denver 39, Miami 28. Now the Dolphins had the ball, needing 2 scores with only 3 minutes left in the fourth. They had it on their own 16. Tannehill went to Hartline. He picked up 21 yards on 1st down to bring it to the 37. Then on 2nd and 2 from the 45, Tannehill went to Wallace. He picked up a 1st down and brought the ball to the 49 with a 4-yard reception. Then on 3rd and 7, Tannehill went to Landry for a 5-yard pass. That brought us to the 2-minute warning. And now it was 4th and 2 from the Denver 43. The Dolphins went for it, and a penalty against the defense of unnecessary roughness after they had already picked up the 1st down with a 7-yard pass from Tannehill to Landry made it a 1st down for the Dolphins on the Denver 21. An incomplete pass made it 2nd down. Tannehill then went to Matthews, and then there was a pass interference call, and now the Broncos end up calling a timeout, and it was 1st and goal for the Dolphins on the 1. Tannehill then went to Landry. It was a touchdown. They then went for the 2-point conversion, but it failed, and this game remained a 3-point game. Actually, they went for the 2-point conversion. It failed, but there was a pass interference call, so they got another try at it, and then it was successful. And so now it was a 3-point game with the score Denver 39, Miami 36. And now with just a minute and a half on the clock, the Dolphins went for the onside kick, but C.J. Anderson jumped on the ball, and so now the Broncos recovered. They just gave the rock to C.J. He ran for 2 yards. The Dolphins used their last timeout, and on 2nd and 8 from the 42, they gave it back to C.J. He ran for 26 yards in the 1st down, and that was all she wrote, as all that was left to do for the Broncos was for Peyton Manning to take 2 knees as this game came to a close with the final score, Denver 39, Miami 36, as the Broncos hold on to win in exciting fashion, coming from behind and then holding on. But in this game, the Broncos, with the win, improved to 8-3 on the season as they now take sole possession of 1st place in the AFC West, and they remain undefeated at Mile High with a record of 6-0 at home, 8-3 on the season. The Dolphins fall to 6-5 and are now 3-3 on the road. And in this game, Peyton Manning was 28 for 35 with 257 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. Tannehill was 26 for 36 with 228 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The leading rusher in this game was C.J. Anderson with 27 carries for 167 yards and a touchdown. He had an average of 6.2 yards on the game. The leading receiver in this game was Emmanuel Sanders with 125 yards off of 9 receptions, and Demaryius Thomas had 10 receptions for 87 yards and 3 touchdowns. The leading tackler in this game was actually for Miami, is Jelani Jenkins had 11 tackles. He also had a sack, so he had a huge game for the Dolphins. But the Broncos win this one. Their leading tackler was Raheem Morris. He had 6 tackles. They had a sack. That was Knighton, who had the lone sack for the Broncos, and Jenkins had the lone sack for the Dolphins. And the game's only interception was by Ward of the Broncos. So an exciting game, as it looked like the Dolphins might pull off a victory. But the Broncos would not quit, and they came back in the 4th quarter. And in the 4th quarter, they outscored the Dolphins 21-7 as Peyton Manning threw that touchdown to Demaryius Thomas early on in the 4th, and C.J. Anderson ended up running for a touchdown, and then Peyton Manning threw the touchdown to Wes Welker that put him up by 11 before the Dolphins scored that touchdown in the final 2 minutes to make it a 3-point game. But what an exciting game in Mile High. Denver holds on to win after coming from behind. And the final score, Denver 39, Miami 36.